Do I want to have a third child? This is the question I ask myself almost every single day. I need your advice. I'll share my whole situation and all my thoughts so we can make an educated decision together, you know? So I have two boys, a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. I love being a boy mom. I do not want to have a third child because I want to try for a girl. Because for one reason, I honestly feel like I would have another boy. And two, like it's not like I feel so called to have a girl that would be the reason I would have another kid. So it's not about that. It's like whether I want to have a third child or not, first and foremost. Honestly, right now, my life is so freaking chaotic. Like, I am trying to keep my 1.5-year-old alive. Like you cannot take your eyes off that boy for 1 second. He will jump off a flight of steps. He will scale our house. Like, he is insane and he weighs so much and is so freaking dense. Like, it's honestly hard to pick him up. And between the two of them, I'm like, our lives are so chaotic. Like, why am I even thinking about this? Like, how would we even do it? But then at the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, they're growing up so quickly. Like, I just was looking at photos of my baby the other day and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, he's like a little boy now. And I guess I keep thinking back into like 15 years from now. Like, I kind of just want our dinner table to be more full, you know? Like, I'm like, are we really done yet? But then, okay, I work. So I'm a working mom and it's just so much. And my parents help out a lot. Especially my mom. She's like so helpful. But like, there's only so much that she can do. And I can't rely on her for everything. And also, like, I'm like, I want to travel again. How am I going to travel? I feel bad. Like, we go on like little trips here and there, but I'm like, gosh, when are my husband and I going to go on like a 2-week vacation? Will that ever happen again? So I think about like traveling and getting like back to my life and feeling like who I am again. But then I'm like, I don't even know who that person is anymore. Like, becoming a mom has become so much of my identity. And I love that about me too. And I love this stage of my life. So I'm like, why am I chasing, in a way, an old version of my life that no longer exists? Do you know what I mean? I guess I'm just like, okay, whether I have another kid or not, it's still going to feel crazy. I don't know. It seems so crazy to try and have a third. And then also I'm 36 years old. I turned 36 in April. So like, there's obviously that time component to it. Now, my mom had her third child, my brother, when she was 40. So I do feel like, knock on wood, I do have time left to decide, but like, not that much time. And like, I still want my kids to be somewhat close in age. I will say, I have a friend who has 3 kids under 5. Her first 2 kids are like 16 months apart. And she was like, Christina, it was crazy for so long. Now she has another baby and her second is 3 and when her newborn was born. And I feel like that age difference honestly seems so much more manageable. I feel like the fact that my kids are 2 years apart is like what is making it so chaotic right now. But I feel like if my baby was 3 and then we had one where he was like talking more, walking, like a little bit more independent, that might be more manageable. But then honestly, my second child like gets way less attention than my first, and I'm sad to admit that, but it is just the truth. And I know it's just not me saying that, because I feel like every other mom I talk to feels the same way, that I'm like scared to have another baby, because I'm like, okay, between the oldest being so demanding and then a newborn, like he's gonna get lost in the mix. And I understand how middle child syndrome happens, and I love him so much, I don't want him to feel neglected ever. So that's another component that I think about. And then obviously the state of the world is just nuts. And honestly, that doesn't scare me as much, because I think I'd like to come at it from a more hopeful, optimistic point of view, that like the world won't always be scarier, and maybe like, I don't know, things will change and our kids will have like a beautiful world to live in, and a beautiful, happy future. But obviously like that global like worry component is part of it. And then also the financial component. I'm like, okay, like kids are so expensive, like everything's so expensive. Like, can I give 2 kids a better life than I can give 3 kids? Does that make sense? Oh, and by the way, my husband's like, absolutely not. So there's that issue too. If you're a mom of 2, are you having all these exact same thoughts? And if you're a mom of 3, how is it really? Because I know everyone says like, you'll never regret that your decision to have more kids, but like, how is it?